Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of 1970s one-hit wonders, those artists who reached the pinnacle of musical success only to never chart again. These songs defined an era and still resonate today. Let's explore the surprising stories behind these memorable tracks. Gene Knight recorded Mr. Big Stuff at the Malaco Studios in Jackson, Mississippi, after being discovered singing in New Orleans clubs. The song spent 5 weeks at number 1 on the R&B chart and reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, selling over 2 million copies.
Now because you wear all those fancy clothes.
After this success, Knight returned to her job at the bakery at New Orleans Loyola University when follow-up singles failed to chart. She experienced a small comeback in the 1980s with My Toot Toot. Knight was initially rejected by multiple record labels before Stax Records finally took a chance on her. Ironically, the recording session for Mr. Big Stuff was actually set up for another artist, and Knight recorded her vocals in just one take at the end of someone else's session. The producers were so impressed that they immediately signed her, despite initially having no interest in her as an artist. One Bad Apple gave the Osmonds their first and only number 1 hit as a group, spending 4 weeks atop the Billboard Hot 100 in 1971. Originally written for the Jackson 5 but rejected, the song was produced by Rick Hall at the Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Donny Osmond sang lead vocals at just 13 years old. While the group never had another number 1, they continued with successful television careers and still perform occasionally today.
Someone else will come along, suck it to you again.
The song was recorded against the wishes of the Osmonds' father, George, who initially refused to let them record secular music as he wanted them to focus solely on religious material. The compromise was that they could record pop music only if it contained moral messages. Additionally, Michael Jackson later admitted that he wished the Jackson 5 had recorded the song, believing it would have been perfect for his voice and stating it was a missed opportunity for their group. Folk duo Mike Brewer and Tom Shipley created One Toke Over the Line in 1970 while on tour, exhausted after a long drive. The song peaked at number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100, despite being banned by many radio stations for its drug references. The FCC even labeled it drug-oriented, and Vice President Spiro Agnew cited it as an example of subversive youth music. After their brief fame, Brewer continued performing, while Shipley became a television producer and director.
Waiting for the train that goes home, sweet Mary, hoping that the train is on time.
In a bizarre twist of cultural misunderstanding, the song was performed on The Lawrence Welk Show, a conservative family program where it was introduced as a modern spiritual by host Lawrence Welk. The duo found this hilarious, as the song was clearly about marijuana use. Even more surprisingly, President Nixon's White House had the duo under FBI surveillance because of the song, and they discovered years later, through Freedom of Information Act requests, that they had a substantial file at the Bureau. Hey friends, if you're enjoying the stories behind the hits, hit that like button right now, subscribe to our channel for more music history deep dives, and share this video with fellow music lovers who appreciate these forgotten tales from the golden age of vinyl. Chickaboom was recorded by Dick Monda, who adopted the name Daddy Dewdrop for this release. Monda was actually an established session musician and songwriter who had worked on the children's show The Banana Splits. The song reached number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1971. After his brief chart success, Monda returned to session work and songwriting for other artists, including compositions for country artists and television. The song was originally written for the Banana Splits children's show, but was rejected for being too suggestive. Network executives felt the innuendos were inappropriate for Saturday morning television. Monda then recorded it himself, making it even more suggestive for adult audiences. Despite its risque lyrics, many radio stations played it without realizing the sexual undertones, thinking it was just a nonsensical novelty song. Smiling Faces Sometimes was originally recorded by The Temptations, but became a hit for the Undisputed Truth in a slowed-down, more ominous version. The trio consisted of Joe Harris, Billy Ray Calvin, and Brenda Joyce Evans, and was assembled by legendary Motown producer Norman Whitfield. The song reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. After this success, the group continued recording, but never had another major hit. They disbanded in 1981, with various members going to other groups. Norman Whitfield deliberately created the Undisputed Truth as his psychedelic group, dressing them in white face paint and black light reactive clothing for performances. Whitfield used them as his musical laboratory to experiment with sounds he couldn't try with more established Motown acts. The Temptations were reportedly upset that their version was shelved in favor of the Undisputed Truths, creating tension at Motown. Adding to the controversy, several members have claimed they were never properly compensated for their work, a common complaint among Motown artists of the era. King Floyd recorded Groove Me as a B-side to another single at the Malaco Studios in Jackson, Mississippi. Local New Orleans DJs flipped the record and started playing Groove Me instead, creating regional demand. Atlantic Records then picked up the song for national distribution, where it reached number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 1 on the R&B chart. Floyd continued recording throughout the 1970s, but never matched this success. He eventually returned to New Orleans and performed locally until his passing in 2006.
Some good loving with plenty hugging. Ooh.
The success of Groove Me actually damaged Floyd's career in the long run. When the song unexpectedly became a hit, Floyd was unprepared for touring and promotion. He was working at a post office job in California when the song broke nationally and initially refused to quit his steady job for what he thought might be fleeting music success. By the time he had committed to music full-time, momentum had already begun to fade. Additionally, Floyd later admitted he resented the song, feeling it overshadowed his other work that he considered more meaningful. Hey again, friends! We would love to hear about your memories from these songs. Please share them in the comments, and hit that like button if you're discovering new facts about these classics. Subscribe to keep these stories alive, and share with friends who appreciate music with substance, not just style. South African musician John Kongos recorded He's Gonna Step on You Again with producer Gus Dudgeon, known for his work with Elton John. The song reached number 4 on the UK charts and number 70 in the US. It featured innovative use of African tribal rhythms and was one of the first songs to use a sample loop. After his brief success, Kongos continued producing music but focused primarily on studio work. His sons later formed the band Kongos, achieving success with Come With Me Now in 2014. The song earned a place in the Guinness Book of World Records as the first song to use a sample, predating hip-hop sampling by many years. The tribal stomp was recorded in South Africa and looped throughout the track. Despite this innovation, Kongos was accused of cultural appropriation, a concept barely discussed in the early 1970s. Adding to the controversy, the song was later covered by the Happy Mondays during the Manchester scene, introducing it to a new generation, but many listeners thought it was an original Happy Mondays composition, further obscuring Kongos' legacy. Australian duo Tintin consisted of Steve Groves and Johnny Valens, who were discovered by Maurice Gibb of the Bee Gees. The ethereal Toast and Marmalade for Tea was produced by Gibb and reached number 20 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song featured distinctive early use of a Moog synthesizer. After this hit, the group disbanded, with Groves pursuing a solo career and Valens becoming a session musician in Australia. Maurice Gibb's involvement with Tintin caused significant tension within the Bee Gees. His brothers felt he was wasting valuable time and creative energy on outside projects when the Bee Gees themselves were struggling to maintain their early success. There were also unsubstantiated rumors that Maurice wrote most of the song, but gave credit to Tintin to help launch their career. The Bee Gees manager Robert Stigwood was reportedly furious about Maurice's involvement and tried to sabotage Tintin's success behind the scenes. Mark Lindsay, who was the former lead singer of Paul Revere of the Raiders, reached number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 with Arizona as a solo artist. The song was recorded in just 2 takes with the famed Wrecking Crew session musicians. Despite the song's success, Lindsay never had another solo top 10 hit. He continued recording and touring, both solo and occasionally with reformed versions of the Raiders. Today, he still performs on nostalgia tours.
And all you can do is laugh at her. Doesn't anybody know how to pray?
Arizona was inspired by a disturbing encounter Lindsay had with Charles Manson at a party at producer Terry Melcher's house before the Manson murders. Lindsay and Melcher later moved into the house at 10,050 Cielo Drive, which Manson knew about. However, by the time Manson sent his followers there to commit murder, Lindsay and Melcher had moved out, and the house was occupied by Sharon Tate and others who became victims of the Manson family. Lindsay has stated he believes he and Melcher may have been the intended targets. We previously discussed King Floyd's unexpected hit with Groove Me, but there's more to the story. The song almost never got released at all. Producer Wardell Quezerg organized the recording session on May the 27th of 1970 as a marathon day, recording several artists including Floyd and Gene Knight. The session cost just $4,000 total and produced two massive hits, Floyd's Groove Me and Knight's Mr. Big Stuff. Both songs were initially rejected by major labels before regional success forced the industry to take notice. Floyd and Quezerg had a bitter falling out over royalties and credit for the song's arrangement. Floyd claimed the sparse, funky arrangement was his vision, while Quezerg insisted he had crafted the song's distinctive sound. The feud lasted decades. Floyd also claimed that Atlantic Records cheated him out of royalties by not properly reporting sales figures, another common complaint among black artists of the era. Despite the commercial success, Floyd estimated he only received about $15,000 total from a record that sold over 1 million copies. The 1970s one-hit wonders we've explored today each capture a unique moment in music history. Despite their fleeting chart success, these songs continue to resonate decades later, each with its own compelling story of creation, success, and the often harsh realities of the music business. Don't let these musical treasures and their stories be forgotten. Like this video, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into music history, and share with fellow music enthusiasts. What one-hit wonder would you like us to cover next? Let us know in the comments below. And until next time, keep those records spinning.